The Elder Dragon War is 2 of any color and 2 red for a saga with read ahead. So I think the first saga is the worst one. 4 mana to deal 2 damage to each creature and each opponent isn't that strong. But it can come in handy, and they don't need to be small creatures. Maybe you attack, and then they think they can have blocks, but then you play this, and then does the extra damage it needs to kill them, so that could be pretty good. It's also burst. If you need 2 damage to kill your opponent, you go on this chapter, shoot your opponent, win the game. That seems okay. But I think it really gets strong after the 2nd chapter and the 3rd chapter. So the 2nd chapter seems okay. Mirror Breaker is one of the cards that seem the most played in Standard right now, and it's because the 2nd chapter is so good, just changing the bad cards you have into good ones. And this one, it hits any number, so you can go more than 2, so you can really fix your hand. I don't think going straight to chapter 3 is very strong. A 4 mana for a 4/4 flying it's just below par. So you really need to be able to use the 1st and the 2nd chapter, because if you do, then this card gives you insane value. But if you don't, if you just go straight to chapter 2 and then to 3, or you need a blocker really bad, so you just go straight into chapter 3. But I still think Fable of the Mirror Breaker is a better card. But this is kind of close. I like how read ahead cards are designed, because it makes them so interesting of where to start. And I think there's some of them that are really powerful. So yeah, cool mechanic, cool card. So Hammerhand is 1 red mana for an enchantment aura. Enchant creature. When Hammerhand enters the battlefield, target creature can't block this turn. Enchant creature gets +1/+1 and has haste. So this card does a lot of things for the aggressive decks. It takes out a blocker, it pumps, and haste for 1 mana. That seems actually kind of good. If you got like this big beefy creature that you can just give haste and take out their best blocker and swing in. So I wouldn't be surprised if I saw this in some like mono red aggressive deck. So yeah, I think this is a good one. Defiler of Instincts is 2 of any color and 2 red for a 4/4 Phyrexian something. It has first strike, and as an additional cost to cast red permanent spells, you may pay 2 life. Those spells cost red less to cast. If you paid life this way, this effect reduces only the amount of red mana you pay. When you cast a red permanent spell, deal 1 damage to any target. This is the last card of the Defiler cycle, and I gotta say, I love what they've done with this creature. I think it's so cool how it warps the deck to work a specific way that you haven't really seen, giving everything Phyrexian mana. So I'm very interested to see if the meta is too aggressive for these cards to exist. But I've been looking at them, and they all seem reasonably priced. They all have good amount of mana. They have always 1 good keyword. And they just create so much value without having to pay Phyrexian mana. But when you use the Phyrexian mana, I think these cards get really good. I think the green one's the best one. And I'm gonna play a lot of that when it comes out, just to check how strong it is. But this is a fine one too. The 1 damage to any target is actually pretty powerful. I've learned that from Walking Ballista. Ether Channeler is 2 of any color and 1 blue for a 2/1 human wizard. That has, when Ether Channeler enters the battlefield, choose 1. Create a 1/1 white bird creature token with flying. Return another target non-land permanent to its owner's hand, or draw a card. This card does so much. You need a blocker, make a 1/1. You gotta bounce a thing, bounce it. You need card draw, you draw. He's pretty much always gonna have value in any situation he's in. So yeah, could see some play in some control decks or some tempo decks also. So Relic of the Legend is a 3 mana artifact that has tap, add 1 mana of any color, and tap an untapped legendary creature you control, add 1 mana of any color. So I think this card is great for the legendary decks. I love that when you play a legendary creature and it doesn't have haste, you can still tap it to make mana. So you play a legendary creature and then you tap that creature immediately for mana, and you use that mana to play another legendary creature that then taps for mana, which makes another one, another one. Obviously, you would have to all have them be 1 mana legendary. It's not going to happen, so you're going to lose a bit of mana. But basically, this makes that all the legendary creatures you play comes in for 1 less mana, because they always make a mana. And also ramps you, so I think this card's actually really cool. And I think if there's a legendary deck, it'll definitely see play in there. Academy Loremaster is 2 blue for a 2/3 creature that has, at the beginning of each player draw step, that player may draw an additional card. If they do, spells they cast this turn cost 2 more to cast. Alright, let's say you are a completely instant speed deck. this card could be good. So you draw the extra card on your turn, and then your spells cost 2 more, but you don't care. You're not going to use any of those because you're an instant speed deck. But the problem is that, let's say your opponent sees you draw the card and make everything cost 2 more mana. Then they'll take the opportunity to start casting their spells, so it kind of messes you up against other instant speed decks. And to be even worse against other instant speed decks, they can also take advantage of this. So I don't think this card is very good. I don't think this card will see play. Cool commander card though. Silverback Elder is 2 of any color and 3 green, 5/7 with, whenever you cast a creature spell, choose 1. Destroy target artifact or enchantment. Look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may put a land card from among them onto the battlefield tapped. Put the rest in the bottom of your library in a random order, or gain 5 life. So this guy has a really big butt. 7 toughness is a lot. So being able to kill him will be difficult unless you have like straight up destroy target creature or exile target creature. But if you don't, this guy's gonna get you a lot of value. All these abilities have a situation where they're good and where you want to have them. But I'm most excited to play him with Defiler. The problem with Defiler is that he deals too much damage to you, but if every time a creature comes into play, you gain 4 life, you can play a pretty insane amount of stuff. He also is triple green to cast, so he'll be very cheap with Defiler of Vigor. So yeah, I think I'm definitely going to build around this when Standard comes out. Combat Research is a 1 enchantment aura that has enchant creatures. Whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. As long as enchanted creature is legendary, it gets +1/+1 and has ward 1. So this card is kind of close to Curious Obsession, and Curious Obsession saw a lot of play. This card you get the +1/+1 easier, but you have to attack every time. If you don't, this card gets sacrificed, and this card doesn't have that. So if there's a creature that's really elusive, that's really easy to hit your opponent, this card can actually draw you a lot of cards, and especially if that card happens to be legendary, then it gets the ward 1. So there's a new cycle. They're dual lands. They have basic land types. 2 of them. There's the red and black one, the blue and black one, green and black one, blue and white, red and blue. So I think these cards are very important for the domain deck. I know they're strictly worse triomes, and you can't even cycle them, so like really strictly worse triomes. But they'll fill in some lands to make sure that you'll have as many basic land types as you can. So yeah, I think these cards are really integral to the domain deck. So Urza Assembles the Titan is 3 of any colors and 2 white, with read ahead. Chapter 1, Scry 4. Then you may reveal the top card of your library. If it's a Planeswalker card, revealed this way, put it into your hand. Chapter 2. You may put a Planeswalker card with mana 6 or less from your hand onto the battlefield. And then Chapter 3. You may activate the loyalty abilities of your Planeswalker you control twice this turn, rather than only once. So the first chapter finds you a Planeswalker. The second chapter puts that Planeswalker into play. And then the third chapter makes the ability twice. So they kind of just fall into each other. But you don't need to go 1, 2, 3 for this card to be good. Let's say you have a Planeswalker that's 2 turn from ulting, and your opponents think they have time, so they don't deal with it. But you play this, it uses both of its abilities, it ults, and most ults on Planeswalker win the game, so that could be pretty crazy. But it's also a ramp if you want. You can pay 5 mana and put it on the second chapter, and then it gives something 6 mana, and then you double its mana abilities. Or you can go chapter 1 and find, if you don't have a Planeswalker in your hand, you find one. And Scry 4 is also not bad at finding other things that may be even better than a Planeswalker. Who knows? So yeah, I think this card does a ton. And is super flexible like all read-ahead sagas. And if there's ever a Super Friends deck, this card will be in it. Urtai Resurrected is a 3/2 legendary creature, Phyrexian human wizard with flash. When Urtai Resurrected enters the battlefield, choose up to 1. Counter target spell, activate ability, or triggered ability, its controller draws a card. Destroy another target creature or Planeswalker, its controller draws a card. Basically, you're playing a spell that can hit everything except for like artifacts and enchantments and lands. But you get a 3/2, they get a card. So I think this could actually see play in some Dimir decks, but the giving your opponent a card can actually really suck sometimes. So I'm not like 100% on this card. So yeah, a lot of new cool cards today. It's the second last day of spoilers, so very excited tomorrow to finally finish this set. I can take a break instead of spending like 7 hours a day on YouTube videos. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Please like and subscribe. I'm just starting out, so I really need like a little boost note to just get out there and stuff. So yeah, thank you so much for watching.